What's up, everybody? This is Death by Dynasty. DBD Ty here. Dan's still out in LA, so you know what that means. I got control of the music. And what I'm going to do for you today is I'm going to give you all 15 games analysis in 15 minutes or less. I know you got places to be, so let's just get after it. We're going to start with the Titans-Browns. Obviously, Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, they're the main story of the game. I'm benching both of them. Don't like that matchup against the Titans. Both have redraft value, though. Don't get it twisted. Jerome Ford is who you want in Dynasty. Someone who I was proven wrong about, and that's Tyjae Spears. He is going to be better sooner rather than later. Derrick Henry's already this season looking like he may be hitting the end of the road in his career. And even if he does have a great year, which I think he still very well might, I think Tyjae Spears may be the guy pretty soon. For the Browns, I like Amari Cooper and Njoku. The Titans' pass defense is not very good. I think this may be the game where they have their first kind of breakout game of the year, especially if you're streaming tight ends. I guess he wouldn't be a streamer, but Njoku is someone you want to look at. On to the next game. We're going to go Falcons versus Lions. I don't trust Dan Campbell in the least bit. To be honest, I think the Lions are frauds. I think they snuck out with a lot of wins last year in games they shouldn't have. I do think they have a lot of promise, but they are a couple years away. And Dan Campbell, I don't know if he's the answer. I don't trust Jahmyr Gibbs to be someone who you can rely on as an RB1, RB2 at this point for sure. I don't know, but Bijan's the truth. We know that. I think the Falcons win this game. But here's the one that you're going to be surprised that I'm saying. I think Kyle Pitts scores a touchdown this week. I really do. And if it's not him, Drake's going to get a touchdown. They're both Drake and Pitts. They haven't had the best start to the year, but I think this is a matchup where they do something. And I think it's going to be Pitts. I do feel a Pitts touchdown coming, so don't be surprised. We're going to go on to the next one. Saints versus Packers. This is going to be the Kendre Miller breakout game. I'm telling you now, it's going to be. I think he's going to bust one for 40 yards and a touchdown. So I think he's someone, if you have him on your team and there's someone who you're even close to in between him and Kendre Miller, I'm going Kendre Miller. It's just someone who I think has so much upside this week, and it's just the perfect opportunity. No Jamal Williams, no Alvin Kamara for another week. Start Kendre. I think Jaden Reed and Dubs are going to have a great matchup. So I think they're two people who you're looking to start in your flex. You can either one. I think you can argue to start there. Olave probably two. Let's go on to the next one though. I don't want to get like, it's like just one of those. Like you're obviously starting Olave. So let's go Broncos Dolphins. I don't like any Broncos pass catchers, and that pains me to say it. I was very high on Jerry Jeudy coming into the season, but I don't trust that offense in the least bit. I still don't trust Russell Wilson. And I don't trust just them to get the receivers the ball in a position to make a play. So I don't like a single Broncos pass catcher. Honestly, nothing too special in this game in general. I think the Dolphins may struggle a little bit in this game. Obviously, if you have Tyreek Hill, you're starting Tyreek Hill. You have Waddle, you're starting Waddle. There's nothing that's going to surprise you. I don't love this matchup for Tua, so if you have other options at quarterback, I might go there. Let's go on to the Chargers and Vikings. I'm Joshua Kelly. He's the one you want to start there. I'm benching Chargers wide receivers not named Keenan Allen. I wish Austin Eckler was playing today. I also love how much Austin Eckler loves fantasy. He said he's going to be back sooner than later. I think it's going to be after the bye week because they have an early bye. I'm benching both Madison and Akers. To be honest, I don't know if Akers is playing, but either way, I'm benching both of them. Not a great matchup, but I think a player I'm kind of up in the air between is Addison. I think if he's a good flex play, but he's risky for sure. So if you have other options, there are definitely safer ones, but at this point both games he had a long touchdown. So I think Addison's someone who you're going to be happy about starting. Let's go on to the Patriots and Jets. I think it's going to be a good defensive game. Obviously, it's not the most exciting. I think Breece Hall is going to have a huge game. He only had 4 touches last week or something like that. He's going to get more. I think he's going to have a really good game against the Patriots here. And Ramondre, someone else who obviously you're starting either way, but outside of, and Garrett Wilson, of course, you're starting as well. So outside of them, there's no one who I really like in this game. I do think it's going to be kind of a defensive slugfest with a couple breakaways. Bills Commanders. Commanders could sneak this one out. I think they're going to be like the Lions or the Giants of last year where they just find a way into the playoffs. Maybe I do like Sam Howell, but in this game, I really don't like any Commanders receivers may like Dotson. He's been disappointing to start the year. It's still early though. Don't, especially in Dynasty, do not give up on Jahan Dotson. He is talented. He's gonna get his production. Just in this situation, it's not the best. McLaurin, he surprised me too to start the year, so you could go there. I think Brian Robinson at this point, you got to start him. He's just been so good in the first 2 weeks. So I'm going to throw Brian Robinson in there. And James Cook, he's been surprising for Buffalo. And obviously, like you're starting Josh Allen, you're starting Stephon Diggs. A lot of people think Gabe Davis is going to have a game this week. I don't know. That's something I'm not as excited about. I think Commanders could make this more of a game than people think. Texans, Jags. Big game from Ridley coming. I'll tell you that much. Christian Kirk had a great game last week. I don't know if that's going to be what's going down. I think ETN has another good one. ETN is arguably a top 5 running back at this point with all the injuries that's gone down. He's someone who's, of course, you're starting every week. And for people who are scared about Tank Bigsby, I'm not scared. Even in Dynasty, like it's ETN's backfield. He has it under control. I also think Ridley's the clear wide receiver 1. Christian Kirk's great. Don't get me wrong. Christian Kirk, you could start in your flex. Wide receiver 3, if you have a lot of injuries, even wide receiver 2, he could have his week to week. But I do think there's going to be a lot of weeks where he disappoints you. But the guy who I like the most, I don't know about the most, but just the guy who I think has been the most impressive this season as far as outplaying where people thought he would be, that's Nico Collins. I think he's going to go crazy this week. Tank Dell's obviously having a great year too, which was great to see. They're throwing a lot. I think they're going to throw a lot this game against the Jags. So both those, Tank Dell is arguably a start in a lot of situations. I think Nico Collins is an every week starter as of right now until further notice. Colts, Ravens, Minshew mania, baby. He's a sneaky start. If you need a quarterback, Minshew's not a bad option. I actually think he might make the Colts pass catchers a better option in fantasy. I like Pittman. Pittman shocked me. I was wrong about him. Something else I was wrong about, I was saying it earlier. It's like root beer. When I was younger, I didn't like root beer, and now I love root beer. Back in the offseason, I didn't like Pittman, and guess what? Now I like Pittman. I think Pittman's a player who you got to have in your lineup. I like Josh Downs. Josh Downs is a great player to have from Dynasty. I believe he's someone who I think is like Brandon Cooks 2.0. And Flowers for the Ravens. Odell is hurt, unfortunately. I think Flowers is without a doubt the best wide receiver there. I'm not a big Rashad Bateman guy. Obviously, you're starting Lamar Jackson, but Flowers, I think, is also an every week starter in most situations. Let's go on to Panthers Seahawks. This is an interesting game. Bryce Young's out. So I think Miles Sanders, I think they're going to look to the run a lot here. I think Thielen, if you're in a really tough situation, you need a receiver. I think Thielen is someone who you might look to this week. Could be a sneaky flex play, might score a touchdown. Kenneth Walker, though, and really any Seahawks offensive player, Kenneth Walker, Geno, DK, Lockett. I think those are all players who you're going to have in your starting lineup unless you're loaded. Let's go on to the Bears and Chiefs. I'm staying away from any Bears player in this situation, even Justin Fields. I'm scared if I'm a Justin Fields owner. I don't know if he's just having a rough start, if it's coaching. His words, not mine. Then he kind of took him back, but but I'm staying away from all Bears. DJ Moore even is a scary start at this point, but I think they're just using him wrong. He said it himself too. Again, their words, not mine. I really do think this is a game that Kelsey and Mahomes just go off, though. Kelsey, I think bold. I don't think this is bold, but 20 plus points. I'm going 20 plus points from Kelsey. I think Mahomes throws 3 or 4 touchdowns. And here's a sneaky play. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He may be in a league with not a lot of bench players. Clyde Edwards-Helaire might be on the waivers. If Pacheco's out, he's a start. I think he's going to get a lot of carries, especially if this game becomes a blowout. And it just seems like Andy Reid just loves Clyde Edwards-Helaire for some reason. So if you're in a tough situation, he could be a start there in your flex. Cowboys, Cardinals, not a great matchup for James Conner, but I think he may be an every week starter at this point. So you're going James Conner if you have him on your team, I believe, in most situations. Again, unless you're loaded at running back, but at this point, so many running backs are hurt that I think you have to be starting James Conner. And the only thing I have to say about the Cowboys, they're doing really great this year. It's hard to start Dak Prescott in fantasy football right now. They're so good in so many other areas to where he just doesn't need to throw the ball that much. And he has been throwing, but it just doesn't equate to fantasy points really. So it is a tough start. So I may be looking at other options, but it is the Cardinals. So Jonathan Gannon's going to find a way to allow Dak to throw for like 400 in week 3. They're going to go 3-0, and the whole NFL is going to be saying they're the best team, but it is what it is. On to the Steelers Raiders. It's a tale of two running backs, and they're in similar situations, but I think they're going to take very different paths. Najee Harris, I'm on the side of he just isn't it. I don't know how else to put it. It's a do or die game. This is a great matchup for him. If he doesn't have a game this week, he's arguably not droppable, but benchable. In leagues, I'm trying to trade him now. Jacobs, though, on the other hand, has struggled probably even more than Najee Harris, but I think he's a buy low option. I think Josh Jacobs is going to have a big turnaround, and potentially this game. I think after this game, he may not be a buy low anymore, and he's going to be right back to where he was. Remember, it's week 2. It is only week 2. They're going to turn it around. Going on to Monday night, we got Eagles Bucks. It's going to be an A.J. Brown game. It's going to be a Jalen Hurts game. It's going to be maybe Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith. The offense is going to go crazy through the air. Now, I'll tell you this much. Let me turn my hat back around before I say it. DeAndre Swift is not the clear number 1 running back in Philadelphia. Should he be? Probably, but he is not. I promise you there will be a game where he gets like 2 or 3 carries and Kenny Gainwell gets 12. There's going to be a game where Boston Scott leads the backfield and carries. Rashad Penny will come from the dead and have a couple yards, a couple games where he maybe leads it. I do not think DeAndre Swift is their clear number 1 at this point, as far as what the Eagles will do. If I'm running the Eagles, I probably do put Swift there, but I'm not. Probably for the better, but yeah, so Swift is not a guaranteed start this week for me in fantasy football. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm benching Rachaad White. The Eagles' run defense is just so good. I'm benching Rachaad White. Bias or not, you can quote me on it. I don't care. And on I'll give the Bucks something. Baker's playing out of his mind. I think Mike Evans probably is going to have a game. I can see him scoring a touchdown. Maybe even Godwin. I don't know. But Evans seems to be Baker's guy. The Eagles secondary hasn't been outstanding. But obviously they had some injuries. They are going to be healthy. So I'm not guaranteeing a lot of yards from the receivers, but Evans is the one I want for sure. And then going to Bengals and Rams, I'm nervous for the short term for Joe Burrow. Obviously not for the long term, but short term, I am nervous. I think they may shut him down for a little bit. But I'm not nervous about his overall talent just for the short term. I think they may have rushed him back from injury too soon. We all know it. Puka's the truth. Puka Nacua. If you have him, you're loving it. If you don't have him, you can't trade for him at this point. His price is through the roof. At this point, you're just waiting to see what happens when Cooper Kupp comes back. But either way, it doesn't matter. He's someone you want. But quietly, Tutu Atwell as well. He has been so outstanding. He got overshadowed by Puka, but Tutu Atwell is someone who I want in all my teams. I have him in one, and I wish I had him in all of them. But I'm also not concerned with the Bengals. They're going to figure it out. If not, that would be the absolute most shocking thing ever. T. Higgins owners, Jamar Chase owners, don't be nervous. Joe Mixon's QB3 at this point, so he's going to be throwing the ball. Who knows, especially if Joe Burrow's out. So if that's the case, Joe Mixon is the best player in fantasy. And that's what I'm going to leave it at. I'm going to get Dan on a call tomorrow for the live. I'm going to call him in for a couple questions. So if he answers, it's going to be early. He's out there in LA. It's 3 hours earlier. He's not used to that 10 a.m. football start time. So that's all I got to say. Thank you for watching. This is DBD. This is DBD Ty. Follow us, subscribe, like Death by Dynasty. Catch you tomorrow for the live. Check me out. We'll be at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. start time. I'll be on the live going up until game time. Peace.